Hello and welcome. I am Dr. Emmanuel Toye Shubande, a strategic leadership expert, executive coach, conference speaker, and award-winning author. You are watching The Leadership Factory, a space where we explore practical, research-driven insights that help leaders think clearly, lead wisely, and build healthier organizations. Today, we are diving into a powerful leadership reality many people don't talk about: the feedback fallacy. Why your honest conversations are destroying trust. Let me start with a story. A story about a C-suite executive who had a performance appraisal session with his employee. He had prepared for weeks. His notes were organized. His examples were specific. He had even applied the classic feedback sandwich technique. Yes, the positive, the constructive, and the positive. By every conventional leadership standard, he was ready. The meeting went exactly as he planned: clear, direct, honest, professional. And when it ended, he leaned back in his chair, satisfied. He believed he had done his duty as a leader. He believed he had been helpful. He believed he had given a gift. What he did not know was that his employee walked out of that room, got into her car, and for the first time in 12 years, updated her resume. She didn't leave because the feedback was unfair. She left because the feedback, delivered with such confident precision, told her nothing about her future while making her feel completely unseen. The leader believed he had given her a gift. The receiver experienced a wound. Last week, we explored the conversations leaders cannot afford to avoid. But this week, we have to confront something far more uncomfortable. The conversations you are having, the ones you believe are building your team, may be quietly dismantling them. We have been trained to believe that feedback is the currency of growth, that honest, direct, specific correction is the hallmark of courageous leadership. But what if everything we have been taught about feedback is not just incomplete, but actively harmful? Let's go deeper. When we look at the research coming out of neuroscience, something very important becomes clear. When the brain perceives criticism, even well-intentioned constructive criticism, it does not interpret it as help. It interprets it as threat. The amygdala activates. The cortisol level rises. The defensive circuitry engages. And in that moment, the very conditions required for learning, openness, reflection, psychological safety become biologically unavailable. So when your employee seems resistant, disengaged, or defensive, they are not rejecting your wisdom. Their nervous system is protecting them from what it perceives as an attack. And here's the paradox. The more specific and detailed your constructive feedback is, the more precisely you may be triggering that defensive response. Now, let's challenge a deeply held belief. We have been taught that people need to hear their gaps in order to close them. But decades of research into human development suggest something very different. People do not grow most rapidly when they are shown where they are wrong. They grow most rapidly when they are seen clearly where they are right. Let me say that again, because it challenges how most leaders operate. The most transformative feedback is not corrective. It is an affirmation of the potential the person does not yet see in themselves. And most organizational systems, performance reviews, leadership training, managerial instincts push us in the opposite direction. We are trained to diagnose, to fix, to correct. We have become expert problem spotters while remaining amateurs at possibility seeding. Let me make this practical for us to understand. Imagine two leaders having a conversation with the same employee. The first leader sits down with a carefully prepared list of development areas, clear, logical, structured. The second leader sits down and asks a different set of questions. What is one thing you did this week that made you lose track of time? What work felt like play to you? How might we double the amount of time you spend on your work? Now, pause and think about the difference. The first leader believes they are building competence. What they are actually building is compliance and often quiet resentment. The second leader is building something far more powerful: engagement, ownership, self-discovery. The first leader operates from a deficit model. The second leader operates from a growth model. And the difference is not in the data. It is in the assumption about how people change. So, if correction is not the engine of growth, what is? What is the engine of growth? This is where your leadership must evolve. You must shift from being a problem diagnostician to becoming a possibility activator. And this requires replacing the traditional feedback loop with something more powerful, what I call the discovery dialogue. Let me walk you through what that looks like in practice. First, invert the focus. The next time you feel the urge to correct someone, pause and ask yourself, what is working here that this person may not fully see? Start from there. Don't start with the gap. Start with the strength. Not flattery, not vague praise, but specific, observable capabilities. I noticed how you handled that objection in the meeting. You stayed curious instead of becoming defensive. That is a rare skill. You see, that conversation, that question, you are not avoiding the hard conversation. You are building the psychological safety that makes the hard conversation possible. Second, ask before you tell. When something goes wrong, resist the instinct to explain. Instead, ask, what was your intention there? What do you think happened? What would you do differently if you had another chance? Now, here's what's powerful about this. The answers they generate will stay with them longer than anything you say, because insight is discovered. Insight that is discovered is far more durable than insight that is delivered. The role shifts. Your role then shifts from being a judge to becoming a thinking partner. You are not stepping back from leadership. No, you are elevating your leadership. Third, shift to feed forward, not feed back. Instead of dissecting the past, direct attention to the future. Ask this question: going forward, what is one small challenge that will make the biggest difference? You see, The past invites defensiveness. The future invites possibility. And when you position yourself as a partner in what is possible, instead of a judge of what was lacking, you transform the entire dynamic of the conversation. Now, let me bring this back to you as a leader. Think about the last piece of feedback you received that actually changed your behavior as a leader. Was it a critique of your weakness? Or was it someone recognizing a potential in you that you had not yet seen? When you prepare for your next performance conversation, ask yourself honestly, am I gathering evidence of gaps in my employee and their approach to work? Or am I cultivating curiosity about their strengths? And within your team, who most needs to hear not what they are doing wrong, but what they are doing right, that they do not yet fully appreciate? This week, I want to give you a practical assignment. Conduct what I call a strength audit. Choose one person on your team. Schedule 30 minutes of your time. No agenda. No performance checklist. Just a discovery. Just a discovery. In that conversation, your sole objective is to identify and articulate 3 specific strengths they may be overlooking. Not surface level skills, but deeper qualities. Who they are when they are at their best. And then observe. Watch what happens to their energy. Watch what happens to their posture. Watch what happens to their engagement. Then 1 week later, watch what happens to their performance. Because when people are seeing clearly, they begin to grow toward what has been seen. You may discover something profound doing this exercise. That your most powerful leadership tool is not your ability to see what is wrong, but your willingness to name what is right. Yes, the leader who sees only gaps creates a team that feels perpetually insufficient. But the leader who sees potential creates a team that grows towards it. And ultimately, this is what leadership is about. Not fixing what is broken, but calling forth what is possible. And trusting that the people you lead will rise to meet your belief in them. Thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, leadership is not just about making decisions. It is about creating environments where truth can be heard, trust can grow, and people can thrive. If this conversation resonated with you, I'd love to hear your reflections. You can connect with me at contactme@toyeshobande.com. And stay tuned, because in our next episode, we will continue exploring the deeper human realities that shape leadership effectiveness. Until then, keep leading with clarity, courage, and wisdom. Thank you. Bye-bye.